So, you know, I got my check in Tennessee. A Secret Service agent had come who turned out to be Georgia O'Keeffe. Because some people, there are people who aren't going to die. And the Secret Service gets jobs for them when they're, some of them, when their identities expire, like they get into their late 90s and stuff. Some people are quite a bit older. And anyway, she was saying, well, see, you have this problem, you have this genetic defect with your brain. She said, like, hell I do. And I said all this stuff that had been happening with me, and that, you know, if you're running around with half a brain like I was, you wouldn't be doing, you know, half as good. And that I'd be doing a lot better if people weren't drugging me every time I get my act together. And she, you know, we talked further on that topic, and she remarked that it was really unusual to talk to someone who was as aware of the situation as I was, who was not gunning down people. And that, you know, they were the people who talked to people before, you know, to after these incidents. And, you know, and this was only a couple of weeks after Columbine that we were having this conversation. And that it's always something like this. People get varying degrees of salience. There was more to it that she couldn't tell me because there had never been an incident when they had told people certain details, that they didn't just go out and start killing people. So I had to figure this out for myself. And, but, you know, as I, you know, studied more, and she said it would help her in the situation if I would go back to school and take another look at the situation. And also learn some skills of describing it, because what else am I doing? I was going to get a disability check. I was not going to be employable. People were going to continue to attack me. And if I got better at communicating about it, it would be a big help. And, you know, we talk about things because, you know, there's expectations. I mean, like, she's like a federal agent or something. She's aware of this stuff. Why aren't you arresting people? And, well, the thing is, the Secret Service cannot prosecute, but they can execute. And she said there was a lot of stuff that has happened, and it gets into the news, and it's just, you know, factory explosion or something. But that was a Secret Service execution. They do execute on the street. They are the only branch, the only agency of the U.S. government that is legally allowed to do that. Now, other states say that, oh, well, it's our state's rights that we want to do these kinds of things in our community because it's our way of life. But they aren't doing it legally. They are getting away with it, but they're not doing it legally. And there is a difference. And there are situations where they cannot be prosecuted because of the level of collusion, in which case they must be executed. But execution is not the only thing that, and it's not the first thing that they try to do. A lot of these people will, you know, like Tommy was in the counterfeit documents division, and part of the reason for that was her artistic skill, is she could counterfeit documents herself. And so what they would do is, if they had people counterfeiting documents saying that someone is not a citizen, they would counteract that. And if those people then got too aggressive about saying, well, you know, as a state, we're allowed to determine someone's citizenship, but as a federal government, you are not. Well, that's crossing the line into sedition and treason. And those are death penalty offenses. So, you know, I was thinking about the history of Indiana, how the Salem witches came out here and settled on a piece of land that had been previously settled by mound builders who had lived off, well, they had not lived off of mussels. They were always trying to attract people from other communities. They would fatten them on mussels, and then they would sell them to cannibals, and then the cannibals would give them good trade goods, and they would live very high on that. And Indiana became a state because these seemingly unrelated people were attracting people from other slaves from other states, saying that they could pass for white in Indiana and that they would use them to pad the census to become a state, because once you become a state, you don't have the same chances of outsiders interfering with your nefarious deeds as you do when you're only a territory. And Indiana was very early to become a state, like 1818 or something like that. It was really early, before 1837. So, anyway, this is turning into kind of a long video.